Wow, good evening, virgins of the internet. It is your favorite, not federal agent. I swear I would never lie to you, and neither would the feds. I'm here to go over again something that I run into constantly on the internet, that GrapheneOS is a honeypot. It is a backdoor. It's kind of ironic. I should maybe at some point make a video about this, because it is something that I come across as a uneducated retard on the internet. And the thing is, not only I am not a smart person, I kind of just read a lot most of the time and try to come to my own conclusions. This is what you call critical thinking, not schizophrenic yelling in the internet because some fucking retard says XYZ. You know, GrapheneOS is quote unquote a backdoor. XYZ, XYZ, XYZ. You know what I mean? The thing is people take stuff that can be exploited and pretty much use it in the most laziest, and I hate using this word because I think it's a cop out type of word. But I'm going to probably use this throughout the video because there's not really another word I can think of that would fit the description. The most laziest type of people that argue this always say it's a backdoor because Google. Nothing else. That's it. Google can't care about security. Google can't make secure software. Google can't produce secure software. It cannot be private based on XYZ of secure software. This is, again, a very low-hanging fruit argument. You can't argue against it because Google does do some horrendous things in the privacy space, but they are advertising company. No shit. That is their whole business model, to advertise and make much money as possible through advertising. Advertising in its nature cannot be private to be maximum profitability. That's just how it works. You have to collect data and information on people to get the maximum profit. There's no other way around it. It's just how it works. Now, they are doing some fuckery shit that is pushing its users away. They were making it more difficult to have good quality security releases, as we were looking at the last stream. And they are putting their tight little grippy bussy around Android and making it more locked down and probably pushing its users to iOS. This is not ideal and this is not fun or fair because in the reality, Apple is no better. Apple does do a lot of things that I don't agree with. I don't like proprietary software. I'm going to make claims that are on a personal level and not an objective level. My personal opinion is I don't like proprietary software. I don't like the idea of handing all my information to Apple. I think that is the worst idea. You don't know what they're going to do with it in the future, and you cannot know what they're going to do with it in the future. It is an unfalsifiable claim that they care about privacy to a certain degree because, again, they can change their policies. They are a company. This goes for GrapheneOS. This goes for any other company. That is, and inherently is the most accurate statement that I could make in a sense. Companies can change policies, but guess what? Can't. Encryption and making sure you are doing your best to release as little information as possible. That I can say self-hosting solves in a lot of the cases, but in reality, the best option that we have on the Android ecosystem that is not Apple on a security sense is GrapheneOS. Apple is secure. Does that mean they're private? No. Does that mean they don't care about security? No. Does that mean they can't achieve security? No. That is the point. Apple can definitely achieve a high security threat model. They have, and I do think they genuinely care about it. Apple is, in that regards, their biggest benefit. Same thing goes with GrapheneOS. Is it ideal that it's based on Android? No, but they're trying to. And is it ideal that they have only the pixels? No, because In reality, that is not good because then we are relying on Google manufacturing a very secure device, never discontinuing it, never holding their grips on the Android ecosystem. Ideally, we should find an alternative to Android in the future, but that is forward thinking. That is not the point here. The point here is people make claims on the internet. I will not trust GrapheneOS because XYZ. It is owned by Google. It is being put on Google smart devices. I think that is kind of like a straw man. You're taking the tiniest little minute part that it's on a Pixel device, quote unquote, forced by the way, and you are saying you don't trust it because it's made by Google, even though it is being ripped apart and maintained and looked at by developers. The thing about a backdoor is Ken Thompson is brought up all the time that you fundamentally can hide a backdoor in something and it could be undiscoverable. He did this with the C compiler, and he essentially made a backdoor in the C compiler and no one ever knew. I don't think on a hardware level that is highly obtainable. I believe that if a backdoor exists, it is made by humans. Humans can make mistakes. Humans can discover this. And essentially, at the end of the day, I believe that it could be uncovered. You know, data doesn't lie. The wire doesn't lie. There has to be a way to see if there was a backdoor, hypothetically even. It could be forensically or network-wise on the wire discovered. I don't think Google would go that far. They don't really need to. Metadata is pretty much what the FBI and federal institutions kill on. They don't need a backdoor. People leak their metadata all the time. This is an operational security failure and less on the hardware. If your highest threat model is like you're worried about backdoors on your hardware devices, you should probably just not have a device at all and operate. Or if you're going to, you should use GrapheneOS and operate with no SIM card and only on Wi-Fi, and maybe always on VPN for some obviously geolocation security issues. Obviously, VPNs aren't perfect, but to say that they provide nothing is silly, and to say that they don't provide some form of breakage in your operational security is silly. There are other alternatives such as TorGuard's Tor. The Tor Foundation has their own quote-unquote VPN. It's really just routing everything through Tor, and you can use public Wi-Fi hotspots that actually do MAC address changing per connection on GrapheneOS. That helps increase your privacy and allows you to be less identifiable. There's other things that you can do to increase this by turning off Wi-Fi scanning, Bluetooth scanning, keep it in airplane mode, turn off your location, block your mic and camera access when you need to, and that would increase the security set for like the security threshold and reduce the attack surface. This is not rocket science, but we're going to talk about CubesOS first on trusting your hardware. I think it's somewhat important to understand this. Then we're going to look at GrapheneOS's requirements that other vendors don't want to essentially grip on, which is a problem. GrapheneOS doesn't choose the Pixel device because they want to. They have to. Other device manufacturers don't want to follow the bare minimum security standards that should be the default on the hardware side. If you have an insecure CPU or some cheap shit 20-cent MediaTek fucking CPU on your phone, but you install Lineage, what the fuck do you think you just did? You did nothing. It's stupid. It's stupid to think this. It's stupid to even have this false sense of security. I think running GrapheneOS with no Google Play services and just treat it like a dumb phone is far better than buying some fucking obscure YouTuber made Lineage OS bullshit that uses micro G, that still uses Google Play services, that still touches Google. Doesn't fucking matter. You're doing worse. Like, that's the point. You do not need to have Google Play services on GrapheneOS. You do not need to have a level of trust. And this is something that people also get misconstrued. They think that it's only the bootloader. That's the only thing that matters. You can relock the bootloader and everything else. They miss all the other security requirements that GrapheneOS asks for to meet the bare minimum standards, what you should have. And this should just be on stock Android. This shouldn't just be, hey, we should have to fork a whole entire system to make it more secure. Google should have done this a decade ago. They should have put forward thinking into context scope. They should have put forward thinking into permissions that give the user more a granular control. This is a problem across the board, not just with Android. This is a hardware problem. Hardware manufacturers do not care about the fact that they want you to have a secure device. They don't care that you want a more private device. They want to make as much profit as possible. So they'll put cheap, shitty fucking components in there that can definitely be vulnerable. And because people are like, it's not Google, guys. Let's fucking do our little Fortnite dance. LLL. All the people using GrapheneOS are alive while you're sitting on a fucking outdated, unpatched MediaTek fucking dog shit $2 smartphone that is literally sucking the data out of your foreskin. Fuck you. Like, I don't get this whole attack on putting a good step forward to a secure environment that might actually force the hands of these other manufacturers to meet. I mean, let's be real. Motorola is owned by fucking Lenovo. Lenovo's a Chinese company, and this isn't like China bad. They're going to take all your data. But if you have privacy concerns, I mean, look at the Lenovo that actually did have a backdoor built into it that took not that long to discover, a few months. It's called Superfish. Big uh-ohs. Literally backdoored their laptops for months, could see all your traffic unencrypted. Lenovo, and this is like from a Lenovo fan because their ThinkPads are great, especially if you're a Linux user. And you're thinking that Motorola can't turn evil company? Like, guys, it's not Google, it's Motorola. Like, they're going to be any different? The only reason they probably did this partnership is because their business consumer market is going to benefit from this greatly. That's it. They're going to use the backs of GrapheneOS and provide the hardware requirements and the security requirements that they asked for. Instead of everyone's just like, guys, just stop what you're doing and just build your own phone. Like, what a retard take. It takes millions upon millions of dollars to manufacture a smartphone, to actually do it. And any of these fucking, again, these loser YouTubers that come out and they're like, guys, I did it for $3. And you don't know at all where if from chip to hand, if it's secure. It's that simple. And do you think your $20 from chip to hand from the manufacturer to you really cares about incorporating any form of base level hardware security, any chain of trust line? No. They're like, all right, just pump it out, kind of thing. That's the point. That's the point that I drive home. So I run CubesOS as a daily driver. I think it's based. I think most people can, but I digress. I'm going to get to the point. CubesOS is one of the most based operating systems you can get. You really don't have to worry about making an accidental clipboard mistake. There's color codation. It virtualizes it and uses Zen hypervisor as as its control plane. Essentially, Cubes isn't an operating system. It's more of a master slave kind of thing. In computer terms, I know some people have a weird word problem with that, but that's not the point. CubesOS essentially takes Zen hypervisor. I believe they maintain it themselves. They patch everything themselves. They try to avoid a lot of the bloat, etc., etc. And it allows you to run everything in an isolated environment, all the way from the USB stack to your network stack to your specific applications. If you want a secure way to have your password manager and your Monero wallet, this would be the most ideal way to run it because it isolates everything. For you even to copy stuff, you have to give explicit consent. For you to send files from one cube to another, you have to do explicit consent. It's actually an internal network that creates a tunnel between these two that's isolated as well in order to keep and maintain and prevent man-in-the-middle attacks and maintain its highest level of security. Is sandbox escaping real? Sure. Are there critical vulnerabilities that exist in this operating system? For sure. Is it the best that we got, though? Yeah, probably. Secure drop depends on CubesOS. Our favorite Fed, Edward Snowden, who's probably still there. I mean, you can if you're coding, if you're doing anything remotely secure where you need the highest level of security, probably should use cubes. You can even set up cubes with hardware security, where you need a you need a FIDO2 to log in. You need your fucking I believe biometric works too, if I'm not mistaken, if your laptop supports it. We'll get into like the Dash Arrow part of it as well. Dash Arrow is kind of like Dash Arrow plus Heads is kind of a cool concept. You can get it after you purchase CubesOS. It's only supported on CubesOS. It's only supported on Core Boot. I had to ask some questions to the developer, like some of the staff over at Nova Custom, where I got my laptop from. If it is allowed where I don't have to flash a chip, I will most likely be purchasing Heads plus Core Boot plus Heads, so I can show other people how to set it up if they do so want to purchase it. It is an ongoing subscription because it has an ongoing cost. It's very inexpensive, in my opinion, for 3 years, and then after 3 years, you can continue to pay for updates, etc., etc. But we'll get into what Core Boot Dash Arrow plus Heads plus Core Boot is. It is kind of an interesting way to protect you on a hardware security level, which increases the overall security in general. Hardware security is always going to be better than software security, especially when it comes to one-time codes versus hardware authentication keys. Hardware authentication keys like YubiKey, NitroKey, SoloKey, Google's Titan M2, Titan. I don't think they support it anymore. Those are obviously going to be more ideal, and you should use hardware keys in place of passkeys and in place of one-time authentication tokens in almost all cases. Just remember to keep it. Get 2 if you can, so you can make 2 copies, and make sure that you're always backing up your phrase. Most places will give you, most websites will give you backup codes. Save your backup codes. Put them on an encrypted drive. Call it a day. There's many, 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 many ways to achieve this. But I digress. So, I think it's here. Nope. Okay, so no operating system, not even cubes, can help you if we're going to go into like the trusting your hardware. There are several security matters to consider before using Cube's install OS process. This correlates to the same ideological understanding that Google phones need to be trusted. Yes, this is why you need to install CubesOS, install GrapheneOS yourself, and you should. And you can verify it with the authenticator, and you can also go as far as understanding that other people are probably poking at the pixels constantly. We'll look at the Tan Thompson's C compiler thing because I think most people know it. We'll just go over it real quick once we get down to that rabbit hole. But you have to understand that if GrapheneOS developers even probably remotely thought that the pixels were backdoored at a certain level, they would probably tell their users, or just outright look for another partner. And obviously, they're doing that now, not because there's a backdoor, or it's like Google's like spying you, behind some, hidden fucking baseband, fucking USB, all these crazy things that people say. They're probably doing it so that they are not bound to the Pixel devices. And they're probably doing it so they're not bound to some grip on Google in general. Like I said, ideally, it's probably better if they can find an alternative to the Android ecosystem in general, which I think that is definitely a need more than another fucking secure messaging app. So if can help you if you're installing hardware that is already compromised. This includes your CPU, your GPU, your SSDs, your HDs, the motherboard, the BIOS, the EFI, the UEFI, and all the relevant firmware. Unfortunately, in today's world, undetectable supply chain attacks, there are no easy solutions. Tools like anti-mutilation Evil-made AEM can help with maintaining trustworthiness of your hardware, but not with establishing in the first place. Some users have chosen users like Coreboot, TEDs, and then Skulls. We're going to go here real quick. So the anti-evil made is currently, the current package requires the Trusted Platform Module 1.2 interface and a working Intel TXT engine. If you cleaned your Intel management engine with ME Cleaner while installing Coreboot, then you're out of luck. For now, you have to choose between cleaning your BIOS and deploying anti-evil made. So installing in DOM0, you install anti-evil made. Security consideration, Cube security guidelines dedicate that a USB device should never be attached directly to DOM0. This can result the entire system being compromised. However, in its default configuration, installing and using anti-evil made requires attaching a USB, i.e. mass storage, directly to DOM0. The other option is to install AEM in an internal disk. However, this carries significant security implications explained here. This presents us with the classic security trade-off. Each Cube's user must make a choice between protecting DOM0 from potentially malicious USB drive. On the other hand, protecting the system from anti-evil made attacks. On the other hand, given the practice feasibility attacks like bad USB.
Oh no, my eyes.
And revelations regarding pervasive government hardware backdoors. This is no longer a straightforward decision. New factory sealed USB drives cannot simply be assumed to be clean, e.g. not have malicious microcontroller firmware. Therefore, it's up to each individual Cube's user to evaluate the risk in each attack vector against his own security model. For example, a user who frequently travels with a Cube's laptop holding sensitive data may be at much higher risk for the evil-made attacks than a home user with stationary Cube's desktop. If the frequent traveler judges higher risk of an evil-made attack to be higher than the risk of malicious USB device, she might be reasonably opt to install and use AEM. Other hand, a home user might probably deem the probability of evil-made attack occurring in their own home be so low that there is a higher probability of USB purchase is already compromised, in which the case she might reasonably opt out to never attach any USB directly to DOM0. In the other case, the user should secure DOM0 against further USB-related attacks through the use of USB VM. That's all it is. Very simple to understand. It's a real threat, and there's a lot of information on it. But you have to trust your hardware, essentially. No operating system is super secure, and you have to understand that there's going to be trade-offs for everything. What is the trade-off? People can decide to use CubesOS or GrapheneOS or whatever, but if they're just complaining like, oh, there's a backdoor, and they don't, but they use shittier, definitely less secure, outdated patch firmware phones, then, or even laptops, then you essentially are just retarded, and you're making a emotional claim that Google bad, guys, Google bad. Oh my God, I can't trust Google, but I trust this fucking $8 phone I got off Temu. That's like the crackheads that are either bots on the internet or they're fucking retarded. And that's my problem. So you get a lot of people that come into this space and they're like, I don't trust Google. Cool, neither do I. But guess what? GrapheneOS is the better option. You'd rather a 18-year-old Samsung with no security patches or firmwares up, no updates, and you just, guys, I sideloaded a different fork of Android on here that hasn't been maintained in 8 months. I'm good. I just use for calling and text. Then fucking use GrapheneOS and just don't install any, install Signal and call it a day. It's like you can't win with these morons, man. It's like, and I always tried to come from a place of compassion, but this is like the thing that irritates me, because people make these insane claims and they always go to like some weird Jewish thing, which is honestly like you're a fag if you always think about Jews. Like deep down, you just like dick, and it's cool. No hate towards the gays, but it's gay, and I hate it. So, choosing the installation medium, I go back. I digress. You should verify the PGP signature of your Cube's OS, just like you should verify the PGP signature of anything else. On your Cube's ISO before you install it. However, if the machine on which you attempt to verify the process is already compromised, it could falsely claim that the malicious ISO has good signature. Therefore, in order to discern that your Cube's is trustworthy, you require a trustworthy machine. But how can you be certain that machine is trustworthy? Only by using another trusted machine. So far, this is a classic problem. While various solutions have been proposed at this point, each user must ultimately make a choice. That is the bare minimum baseline understanding. You are making a choice. You either trust your hardware or not. Now, they have different ways. You can... Optical disc are read-only. If you use read-only media, you don't have to worry about the ISO being maliciously altered afterwards. It's a fixed capacity. If the size of your ISO is larger than your disk, it'll be inconvenient. Pass-through recordings, aka burning, is not supported in Zen. This mainly applies if you're upgrading XYZ, XYZ, XYZ. You know. Option 3, various Cube security models such entails transferring untrusted ISO to DOM0 in order to burn it to disk, which leaves another 2 options. Considering the pros and cons of each, I just use USB drives. It's all right. But verify the PGP signature before you install. You should always do that. You should do that with your software. It doesn't take any amount of time. Now, Heads. Heads is an open source custom firmware and configuration for laptops and aimed to provide slightly better physical security and protection for data on the system. Unlike Tails, which aims to be stateless OS that leaves no trace computer, Heads intends to be the case where you need to store data and store it on a computer. Heads is not just another Linux distribution. It combines physical hardening specific hardware platforms and flash security features on custom core boot firmware and Linux bootloaders and ROMs, read-only memory. This moves the root of trust into a write-protected region of the SPI flash and prevents further software modifications at the boot code. And platforms to support BootGuard can protect against many hardware attacks as well. This is what relocking the bootloader is. It's a part of it. It's not the whole thing. Again, people always point to this. They're like, oh, like I found other things that do this. It is a small part of it. It's relocking it so you know that the information isn't being tampered with. That is, the most ideal solution. Controlling the first instruction of the CPU executes allows Heads to measure every system of the boot firmware and configuration into the trusted platform module, which makes it possible to attest to the user or remote system of that machine has not been tampered with. While modern Intel CPUs require binary blobs to boot, these non-free components are included in the measurements and are at least guaranteed to be unchanged. Once the system knows it's in a good state, the TPM is used as a hardware key store to decrypt the drive. There we go. Bootstrapping a slightly more secure laptop. Now, that's a very oversimplification. There's Core Boot. I use Core Boot. It's pretty much free and open source. It's better. And then we're going to look at Dash Arrow. So this is the Dash Arrow Pro package release to obtain access. Intro, what is it? Dash Arrow is an open source firmware distribution crafted with the emphasis on trustworthiness, privacy, and liberty. Our mission is to empower. So it does seamless deployment, clean and simple code. It's open source, long-term maintenance, professional support, blah, blah, blah. After years of providing embedded firmware, Dash Arrow blobs and transmission. There we go. Maybe it's under introduction. Oh, okay. Dash Arrow consists of productized services, a set of open source repositories, and quality control. Maybe they're under GitHub. So Dash Zero is a core boot downstream which values open development, firmware resilience, and performs security transparency, right to repair, and digital sovereignty. Essentially, it's a way, I think Nova Custom. Firmware and software that controls your computer at its core. UEFI-based firmware is essentially today to ensure overall security and integrity of modern computer systems. Firmware is responsible for the early boot process and authorization of internet components. Software Dash Zero core boot firmware provides an excellent defense against evolving threats, which is critical field of cybersecurity. They also do something with a microcharging is a disaster for the battery. For this reason, Dash Zero implements intelligent battery charging threshold. They do something with, yes, it's like they do secure boot, the trusted platform module, firmware settings and password, Intel boot guard, Dash Zero trust root optional. I might look into that. It has measure boot, verify boot, BIOS boot medium lock, early boot DMA protection, SMMM BIOS write protection, USB stack options, Intel management disable, HECI, and then HAP. These things are definitely super important and based, and you also don't have to worry about pee-pee poo-poo time. Like Intel Boot Guard, users are willing to achieve the highest level of security. Hardening can take advantage of Dash Zero trusted root. It's available on Meteor Lake ML devices since one police. This is done by choosing the fuse vendor binaries and DTS capsule updates in the future. The Dash Zero trusted root hardens firmware security by leveraging a hardware-based root of trust, and ensures the platform integrity by verifying firmware authenticity during the earliest boot stage, and refuses to proceed with boot firmware that doesn't pass the checks. This renders the platforms unbootable in the event of a firmware tampering for the sake of not running unknown, potentially compromised firmware. Having that, huge. Awesome. If your device isn't compromised now, how do you know? How can you verify that? You can't. You might not be able to. You might have to dig deep for that one. You might discover it. You might not. That's the point. But if you get a laptop with tamper-proof screws, and you have it shipped with this in the beginning, then you're good. You now have to just trust where it came from. And then that again becomes too reductive. Like, we're like, who do I trust? Do I trust the person the janitor that was in there, probably, XYZ? And you can go down, you can go as far as you want. Like I said, it becomes too reductive and kind of like lazy. So, once again, once embedded, the firmware signing used by Dash Zero Trusted Root cannot be disabled. This is an irreversible process due to the changes in the device's hardware. For Intel-based hardware that only supports as of September 2025, the permanent changes happen at the level of the chipset. To be specific, field program fuses, FPFS, used to store hash firmware signing keys are one-time programmable. Initially, they don't hold any specific value, but once properly configured, firmware is booted, their value is set and cannot be modified ever again. This is called fusing. Make sure you fully understand this information before choosing to flash firmware that enforces Dash Zero Trusted Root. Very based, very cool. But once you take that into consideration, What's up, Barbara? Thanks for joining. Thank you for the jewels. Much appreciated, clutch. Yeah. So now that you have compare it yourself. Which one sounds sexier? All the green check marks, some of the green check marks. Think about it. Annoying fan profile. 2 fan profiles with low phone speed. Okay. Yeah, sometimes my shippy screaming, but like I'll open up like 8 cubes. And ideally, you would do this all from the beginning. That'd be great, but it's not always that ideal. Some people don't got that. They ain't got it. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't got it, you ain't got it. And I agree. You should choose your firmware. We should have more firmware options. This proprietary firmware is fucking crazy. People will like be like it Google phone, but motherfuckers will have like no core boot on their PC. They'll have like they'll have an outdated fucking motherboard from like 2009. They're like, go but Google guys. It's so cringe. I hate it here, but the meme. We owe you our balls. Wikipedia's gotta be fucking sucking massive money. They gotta be making it. I should have made Wikipedia. I should have made Wokepedia. That was so cringe. That was pretty gay, actually. So, Heads is pretty based. Dash Arrow is pretty based. Anti-Evil Maid is also based. But what is more based is going over to mobile security. So, we're going to look at first Ken Thompson's... let's see if it's in here. He used Apple. Good. He works at Google. Uh-oh. He works at Google, guys. And he made Go. When 3 of us started, it was pure research. Some of us just got together and decided we hated C++. Returning to Go, we started off with the idea that all 3 of us had been taken and talked into every feature of the language, so there's no... Okay. Where is this? There's a really good... Motherfuckers, 83. He looks like a Linux user. At 83, I would the time that Ken Thompson wrote a backdoor into the C compiler. When Ken Thompson wrote the Turing Award jointly with Dennis Ritchie for their work in the Unix, he was expected like any other Turing, blah, blah, blah. Thompson didn't want to write about the usual things in the Turing Awards. He didn't want to write a paper at all, the original deadline, blah, blah, blah. He describes at a high level how the C compiler itself, a program written in C, compiles the C source code into machine code to set the stages for how the Trojan horse would be injected into the generic machine code while leaving the original C input source code seamlessly unmodified. He explains that while in college at UC Berkeley, him and a colleague would amuse themselves by poisoning program exercises, one of them which was to write the shortest self-reproducing program. More precisely stated that the problem is to write a source program when the compiled and execute will produce an output and an exact copy of its source code. The part about shortest was just an incentive to demonstrate skill and determine a winner. Yeah, you could say that what's more secure for brute forcing attacks? So Samsung has made definitely improvements in a sense, but probably an iPhone. iPhone's probably better. I hate to say it. Security Knox has had better improvements, but iPhones have to be put in lockdown mode to be in its most secure form. But they don't. That's the problem. And Apple doesn't allow you to have an account without an identity. That's the second problem. Samsung's as bad as they are, because Samsung has so much bloatware in there. You're essentially having a huge attack surface. In my opinion, the only way you could thwart this is you would get Android Universal Debootloader. You would deboot all the bullshit that you can't uninstall, and you would really like harden it. You would put it. There's no auto reboot option, which sucks. I believe there might be some third-party apps out there that you could do, or if you are a developer, someone should produce this, because when a phone is put in its before unlock state, it is essentially the most secure that it is. And this is built into the Android. Only thing is, only thing I don't know about Apple is the UK, we don't have ADP. Yeah. So I wouldn't even entertain, if you don't have ADP, then I would not entertain an iPhone. It would be very pointless. I even think Apple's ADP is good. It's a good idea. Is it perfect? Is it ideal? No, but it's better than, it's literally a step forward. Who would try to brute force attacks on normal citizens? People with time. I don't like about, yeah. Yeah, the no ADP is stupid. It was the dumbest decision they could have made. They had to comply with the fucking bean fuckers. Say what? Who would try to brute force attack on normal citizens? Maybe the government. Anyone. I mean, threat actors, government agencies, non-government agencies, people. I mean, bad people exist. It's like asking, like, who would rob? Who would rob a normal citizen? Tons of people. The point is, I'm going to eventually maybe show like a Duress pin setup at some point. But if you can't have access to Android's device protection, then, I mean, Apple's device protection, just get a Samsung, deboot it with the Android Universal Debootloader. Unless, I would say the Pixel would be far better with GrapheneOS on. If you're going to wait for Motorola, then I would wait still even after it's launched, because we quite don't know how it's going to go. And if you're going to do that, there might be an auto reboot option on Android that could be an app. Not sure. You would have to check F-Droid or a Crescent. If someone could release something to a Crescent, that would be ideal. Or find a way to incorporate it as well. Another thing that people like to bring up is, just make a secret hidden app that which is stupid, because if you think about it, if it's hidden, it's stored somewhere and someone can find it. Forensics is pretty insane. You'd be surprised what you can discover, even if it's hidden. Like, there's no such thing as really hidden in computers. It's very difficult to do. If a human makes it, that means it's going to exist. You're not a unique human in a sense. Yeah, but I'm still wondering, why would they use your info for? Sell it to companies? Whatever. If I could steal your bank information, your social security, your passwords to your accounts, your 2FA keys. A big maintainer on GitHub just got compromised for a big project. They had huge project. And you might think who the fuck would steal that? Because I can. Maybe they would do blackmail. Sure. Ideally, that's be bad, but what are you gonna do? Okay, the Trojan horse. So in this section, I'll try to illustrate the Trojan horse, originally presented by Thompson through a combination of original Quasasi pseudocode and the source code, and examples from Russ Corrick's article on the subject, where Cox got Thompson to actually send him the source code after seeing the talk Thompson gave in 2023. Self-producing code. In this stage, Thompson describes the self-producing code known as the Quanai. The key insight is that the program can contain its own source code as data, which then it prints along the code to print it. Here's Thompson's example of the paper. So the string is representation of the body of this program, 0 to the end, something with C. Hey, Rust. Just kidding. There are two critical properties here to make note for the latter. This program can easily be written by another person. This program can contain an arbitrary amount of excess baggage that will be reproduced along the way, along with the main algorithm. Simple transitions, note from original paper. Here's a classic Python coin to demonstrate the self-producing behavior. S holds the string and almost the whole program, including the placeholder %R, which formats pretty much rep R, and the print S %S uses Python's old C-style % formatting. Important notes about the character inside. The only reason I asked is because I was potentially switching from the 26 to an iPhone 18, but we don't have ADP, so yeah, pointless. I also have a lot of F-Droid apps like GrapheneOS, which is an encrypted container management compatible with Vercrypt. Yeah, that's cool. And but the problem is Samsung's bloatness is the problem. It's a bloated system. They include a lot of unnecessary bloat. So if you're going to stay with the 26, and for whatever reason that you're not getting a Pixel device for GrapheneOS, that's your decision. It's fine. I'm not a fan of F-Droid. I think Crescent and Obtainium are better just for verifying signatures and making sure you're getting timely updates and there's a host of other reasons. A Crescent needs to continue to grow and get better. I would just get Android Universal Debloater and I would debloat it. Anything that you don't use. That's the biggest problem. On that phone, it wouldn't be able to use apps similar like KeyPass XD. Yes, you're correct, but there's something called Strongbox. It's like the KeyPass XD for Apple. That doesn't require, but the problem is with Apple, you need to have an account. You can't sideload unless you're a developer. If you're a developer, you can pay $50 or something like a year, $100 a year, and they allow you to. That is the biggest problem with Apple. You are entrusting them the entire way, and I don't agree with that. I think you should be able to make your own decisions. You should be able to go verify your own package signatures, and you should be able to trust the software that you install by doing that in that set order. Apple does have some minor increased security options. Like you can just do Apple's end-to-end encryption, that's iPhone to iPhone. And it's end-to-end encrypted. But ideally, you should use something like Signal and not trust essential authority like Apple, but even then Signal is becoming kind of its own essential authority, etc. What do you use them for, may I ask? I want to know if it's a good and useful for... It's important notes about the characters inside. This placeholder tells Python to insert the R part of the argument, doing the % formatting, /n is the new line character. Yep. The compilers learn. Thompson used the example of how the C compiler handles character escape sequences to show compiler can teach itself new knowledge. In C, you can write string literals with escape sequence. Hello world n. The compiler needs to know what character code /n represents. Here's the clever part. The compiler can learn this in a completely portable way. It's kind of based. The code handles the backlash escape sequence. Notice how it uses n to recur the new line character. The compiler knows what n means because it's baked into C itself. Okay, now suppose we want to add support for the #v vertical tab. We'd like to write C next if C equals / C next, C, and C is any V, new vertical tab. But there's a problem. The current compiler doesn't understand /v yet, so this source code won't compile. We need to train the compiler first. The solution is to temporarily use the actual character code 11 for vertical tab and ASIC. Some more words, slipping in the Trojan horse. So now we have arrived at the actual Trojan horse logic. The idea of the Trojan... I hate when I see that word because I just feel like this is just AI shit. They say logic a lot. Like, I was on a phone call a couple days ago and I think they were AI. Like, it sounded real at first, but then I started asking a bunch of questions and it seemed very AI-ish. It was kind of sus. It was kind of gay, actually. But I'm not entirely sure. That's where the scary part is. I'm not sure if it was AI or not. So backups, I would just use Cryptomator. Cryptomator is great. Crypts the vault, backs everything up. It's trusted. base. But the Veracrypt one is pretty cool. I've seen a couple of them. I'm just I don't use Veracrypt too often. I use PicoCrypt, but it got kind of like, hey, I'm done with it, and it got forked, and I don't really know if it's the best option out there, but I liked PicoCrypt. I really hope it continues to maintain it because it's so small. It's great. I'm going to grab some water real quick, guys. I use anti-auth and Aegis. Aegis is cool. They are. They're based. They have like good encrypted backups. Entei is cool. I use Entei for. I self-host Entei because Image doesn't do encryption. Like they don't encrypt their stuff or Rust or something. Nice profile pic. It reminds me of the Diddy Mesa Lemmy Chakras. I can't see profile pics, so I'm retarded. I mean, elite ball knowledge, to be honest, that you can see it. But I straight up blind. I phone lock. iPhone lock. phone dead. I don't even know what Jay's saying. Jay's probably got a. Laughy emoji, pee pee poo poo, pee pee poo poo. I would say even inherently, you're probably better off. Like with Aegis and like your password, you're better off obviously offline and making sure it's not connected to the internet, but also making sure you're getting like secure updates like from the source. Like that's probably like the best option. I prefer hardware authentication than anything. If hardware keys are the option, I pick hardware keys each time. No question. I will always pick hardware. Aegis is cool. My problem is one-time authentication codes OTP codes are obviously not the most ideal. I'm reading something. I used to love iPhone because of jailbreak. I started a free sketch during iPhone Plus era. Is obtaining the best way to download apps in? With verifier, yeah, because you're getting it from the source. If you know where the source, if you're getting it from the source, then yeah, 100%. That's going to be the most optimal way to do it. You can't. The thing is, like, if you're getting software from something that is slightly outdated or they don't do any security checks, it'd be not. That's kind of a hard one. I don't like Proton right now. I don't like Proton. They went back on their Monero integration. I think that's kind of shady. They went back on their Monero word, which is shady. I understand they're a company. Them handing over user information doesn't necessarily make them. They're a company at the end of the day. They're going to follow the law. I think the best option. Look, I'm a backup snob. The best option to back up your stuff is encrypt it yourself. And find a provider that allows you to upload it with your encryption. Cryptomator is great because Cryptomator allows you to back up your stuff to the cloud, and it's encrypted. And you did the encryption. Your second option is to Nota looks promising, but I don't know what they're going to do. I tried to join their beta to check out their drive. It was closed by the time. I think it's a good alternative. I'm not hating on it. I think, yeah, I don't like Proton, but I've used them for like 10 years and never had it. Yeah, I don't think Proton is bad competition. I don't think that they're lying about the encryption. I don't think that they inherently are. Yeah, for sure. If it's not broke, don't fix it. But my problem is Proton has an increasingly problematic with adding more stuff and not finishing stuff. They add more stuff and they don't finish it. That's my problem. That's why I left it to Denoda. That's one of the reasons. The second one is Denoda figured out notifications with no Google Firebase. They don't run ads. They don't do analytics. They don't grab analytics about their users. They don't need to. So why would I migrated my email to them permanently, and I'll probably never pick another email. If I would have found though Denoda and Forward Mail at the same time, I probably would have picked Forward Mail from a security standpoint because they're kind of based. But I like that Denoda accepts Monero. Not directly, but I can go to a place and buy gift cards for them with Monero. The drive, I used to delete my phone and upload it to Proton and re-download it. Like Proton Drive and re-download it. So that was cool. So if Tuda gets that option, I'll probably pick that. There is... I'm going to show this real quick and then go back on topic before my 80. There is this company. This isn't a sponsor, but I bring them up a lot because they look interesting. It does on-device encryption. They have an app. Their pricing is decent. For 200 gigs, it's like $2 a month. 500 gigs, it's like $6 a month. I don't know how to do this in American. They don't have a lifetime option anymore. So they do the encryption on the device. The unlimited bandwidth is a little sus. The unlimited upload sus. Client-side encryption is based. Zero knowledge technology. Syncing network drive. Blah, 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 blah. They look interesting. I've never seen them recommended, but if you want to do it yourself, I use these guys. Baseborg. So it's very cheap. Every repository is isolated. Server-side compaction to keep your backups fast. It's open source. It uses Backboard. I believe they are. I don't really care where they're based because countries can change laws and policies at the end of the day. Remember, everyone focuses on countries. And they're like, oh my God, they have the best privacy law. They can change their laws overnight, and you will never know. It doesn't matter where it's based. It doesn't matter where it's hosted. It can be hosted. China tomorrow could be the most privacy-centric country in the world. It doesn't fucking matter. They have Secure 2FA, encrypted with your own keys, built-in alerts and monitoring. They're amazing. I love them. Their pricing is fucking great. I like them. They give you it uses Borg and Restic. Restic is Rust-based. They're cheap. They give you 10 gigs of free storage forever. That is kind of like a red flag to a certain degree, but storage is sometimes so cheap it doesn't matter. But 250 gigs for a year is crazy good. This is good pricing. $90 a year. Filing looks cool. But Borg has been around forever. Restic is even more base. It does repositories. I use these guys for a lot of my server backups. They're kind of not that expensive for what you get. I don't know if they accept. I'm pretty sure they don't accept Monero. Be cool if they did though. But you can buy, prepaid debit card. Use a prepaid debit card. Call it a fucking day. Get over it. Choose to be alerted about via email, pushover, webhook. Get your email notifications straight up. Command line, Vorta. I've never used Vorta, a desktop client for Borg backup, which is kind of cool. There's an Android application I use. By the way, it's pretty awesome. Your backups are encrypted at all times. We never see the contents. Use append-only mode and two-factor authentication to protect existing backups, even if your local machine is compromised. Borg is its own thing. It's open source. It's backup software. It's been around for 11 years. You feel old yet? Super cool. A lot of Linux users like them. His name is Borgston, so he's probably from fucking Finland or something. It's an efficient deduplicated compression and optionally encrypted authenticated backups. The Borg is really good if you want an insanely efficient backup. If I could find a way for my backups are getting too huge for me to use cloud storage, so I might switch to a way to back up just the snapshots. Yeah, it's super. Yeah, Borg. This isn't they're not. It's so gay that I have to say this. I'm not paid to say this, but Borg Base is super cool if you want an inexpensive way to back up. Use your API to manage backups. Automatically set backup spaces for new machines. That's the point. If you want an efficient way to back up, these guys are great. And the price is crazy good. 250 gigs is a lot. Most people don't even have that on their phone, their laptop, or whatever. You can back up tons of stuff, and it's isolated. 10 repositories, keeps backups isolated from each other. You can put it in the EU or the US if you care. It's whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm only saying I like it because I use them. And they've never given me a problem. And 10 gigs, 2 repos, pretty nice. No API or data transfer charges. 30-day refund on all any plans. Just saying. They're great. You can do this yourself too. You can set up a VPS and set up your own Borg backup. Or you can do Rustic. This is like Linux. This is old. This is super based. Huge fans of Rustic. Rustic is cool. I've used Rustic for a couple things. Just saying. Where is it? I wonder if Pine 64 got on their fucking the full PinePhone 3D files. Oh, nice. They need to release the PineTime Pro. Oh, nice. They released the files, 3D printed files for the PinePhone. Damn. It's kind of cool. Someone figured out how to put Gen 2 on one of the Pine phones. It was kind of cool. That would be like the most ideal. But there's restix backups, there's Borg, there's backups, but that's, I digress. We're going to go into GrapheneOS. We're going to look into devices will be supported. We're going to look at why they choose these list of requirements for future devices, which are standards met or exceeded by the current Pixel devices. This is something that we have to understand as people, because at the end of the day, security matters. Security is important. Security is something that is obviously always moving, always changing, and those things are essentially, that's good. If security threats start becoming more complicated, AI driven, etc., we need to address them, concretely. Just because it's kind of like I equivalent Google to the military. Is the military always good? No. Is it good to have self-defense and access to military? Probably. You know what I mean? Does that mean they don't care about securing its citizens and securing the borders or securing people? For sure. I'll need to maybe start using PicoCrypt though. Thanks for mentioning it. Yeah, PicoCrypt is cool because it's very portable. There's an Android application. It did get forked, by the way. The original maintainer did leave it and left it up to the community to take over. That is something that you have to keep in mind. I use PicoCrypt on a consistent basis. I think it's great because it's small, it's portable. There's a paranoid pack, meaning like if the internet goes out, it actually has the full repo on it so that you can pass it off to people, so you can make sure that you can continue to use your content, like that you encrypt, by the way. And uploading it to the cloud does exist. So keep that in mind. Obviously, Cryptomator is really cool, and it's kind of based. And essentially, Cryptomator allows you to have encryption at your fingertips. Though people need to understand vaults and like that it's not a backup. It's more of like, hey, I'm putting it in the cloud, and you can't. I don't know. Cryptomator is a little confusing to the average user. Yeah, I'm going to stop using Bitwarden. It's never done me any harm, but it's still online. Bitwarden's kind of interesting. It actually, the contents of the vault is always encrypted, and Bitwarden servers are used to sync it. But I get the concern of it mainly over their licensing. I believe the source available. And Bitwarden, again, can change their policies. I think people that use Bitwarden versus No Password Manager is 100% better for society and people in general. But if you're confident enough, you have good backups, you have the password manager, aka KeyPass, generated, that would be ideal. I am working on a way to make this work in CubesOS where the syncing happens, the import happens from other like password managers. The biggest problem with CubesOS is syncing your password manager. It's a fucking nightmare. You have to get it over, but move, essentially. There's something called PairPass. It does exist, but it's backed by Tether. I'm not a fan of Tether. They suck and they're gay and I hate them. And they suck and they're gay and I hate them. So essentially, I do not want to use that. So I'm trying to make something very similar that uses a simple QR code. It's built with Rust in mind because, Rust based. It uses Android's key store for the where it's the key store where it stores the password manager to make it more secure. Not entirely ideally super knowledgeable, but I am reading through documentations while I'm building it and making sure that I'm not doing any mistakes. And hopefully in the future I will release this so other people can use it, because I think people should have access to a way to make sure that they're super awesome and super sexy password manager gets kind of leaked between each other, and it would be awesome. I do have a GitHub repo up for it to make sure that I can kind of like mess around with it, but ideally I would like in the future to have access to my passwords synced within a QR code in an offline manner that doesn't require me to do a lot of moving between files and reduce the deduplication problem that I was running into. But that is the biggest problem with CubesOS in general. But tell your grandma to tell your grandma to use Bitwarden. That's all I'm saying. I think they're great. They've done a good job, and they're super based. Everything is going to have a trade-off. That's kind of my point. Your trade-offs should always be what you see as convenient and secure versus what you see as inconvenient and insecure, and you come to your own conclusions to a certain degree. You can be wrong and still come to your own conclusions. That is the point. I've been wrong about stuff. I've changed my security model. I've changed how I look at things, and I've changed my perspective. I used to use Calyx OS. I no longer use Calyx OS because I was like, that's retarded. So keep that in mind as well. But I will be getting some water, guys. I'll be right back. We're going to go into the security requirements of GrapheneOS. It's going to be super based, and I want people to understand why they picked it and why you should think about it. Is there a Cube's OS unencrypted boot partition problem? No. Not that I'm aware of. I would have to search that. I'll search that right now. I'm not aware of that. CubesOS does not natively support encryption in the boot partition by default because the standard installer, Anaconda, presents placing the boot mount point on an encrypted device, as it could render the system unbootable on standard UEFI hardware. This leaves the kernel and the intrad files in plain text, which is a known security zone and allows attackers with physical access to potentially tamper with the boot file or extract encryption keys. To address the problem, users typically employ the following workarounds. USB key method. Store unencrypted boot partition in the Luke's header on an encrypt kernel XP stream. Core boot, Libre boot, which I do. I have core boot. On hardware modification firmware, the BIOS itself can open Luke's container before handing the control to Grub, allowing the full disk encryption and encrypting the boot. I run CubesOS core boot, so maybe this is some. Heads project. Use the Heads firmware, which provides a minimal OS than a verified boot integrity and allows for custom key signing, mitigating the risk for an unencrypted manual encryption. Advanced users can manually encrypt Luke's containers and modify the installed scripts. Additionally, Secure Boot is not supported by CubesOS out of the box because of Zen hypervisor and associated with a compromise signed by Microsoft, boo, and other standard UEFI keys must typically be disabled to Secure Boot in their okay. You should make like $10 a month member option. Oh God, no! I'd feel so guilty. I'm too lazy. I'm too lazy to do that. I feel guilty even people handing me a Dolan. I'm too retarded. Oh wow, this is from 2020. Can you get rid of the unencrypted boot partition in Cubes 4.1? This is interesting. I've never came across this. I think there was a joke. I made a joke, $50 option. And literally a joke. Literally just a meme. Member option because it was kind of funny. But I don't think YouTube they what's the word? They review it or something. For me to make that too, like I would have to I would have to provide something of value. I always think, I mean, the dollar is just like, you want to throw me $1? Cool, thanks. I appreciate you. But it's very difficult for me to go beyond $1 because I feel like the value ain't there, brother. Some people might see the value. And I appreciate the Dolan. If I release enough videos, maybe in the future. I see the value and would to take off soon. More people will become private. Maybe. Maybe in the future. Maybe if I make enough videos this month, I might consider it. I don't want to do members only content though. That's my problem because I think that hurts free information and. And I think more people are going to become more privacy conscious in a really weird way. Yeah, no membership only. It's just support. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, member only is because at one point I was like Patreon, but I'm like Patreon gay. So I don't know. I might consider a rational tier system, but no. the only extra perk I might think of something. I might think of something like I'll send a letter. I'll send a letter with I'll send a handwritten letter with a 3D printed version of my balls or something. Handwritten letter from my balls. Elite ball knowledge, you could say. But a while ago, I decided to give QBOS 4.1 a test run. I noticed that there were nowhere 3 partitions created by the disk setup. For one was an EFI partition. The second was an unencrypted boot partition. And the latest was Luke's encrypted root FS. So basically, I've gotten into this habit of modifying all my Linux systems to use just 2 disk partitions, EFI partition, and bootloader entry and encrypted root FS partition, with boot being a part of it. This is possible because of Grub2 support decrypting the Luke's roots and loading the intra MFS image in the bootloader on the encrypted partition. And the procedure was, as far as I know, first described by Pavel Kogan the following entries. So basically, what the Grub2 bootloader does, asks for the passphrase, decrypt the root FS, load the infograms into memory from the encrypted boot folder, and uses a key file from the infograms to unlock the Luke's root FS, so the user isn't prompted for the password twice. And then boot the system. It's been I've been exploring the possibilities of modifying the disk layout. Same matter of QBOS 4.1. I've noticed 4.1 now uses Grub2 as its bootloader, so I was wondering, is it feasible rather than any interest in the community to set this up? Hello. It's a classical Luke's encryption scheme for Linux distributions. The boot partition was required to remain unencrypted because of its hosted Grub2 configuration files, Inframan's image, as well as the kernel. The recent EFI Grub2 image, at least one in Debian, boo! C package grub EFI AMD64 assigned, has the ability to decrypt a Luke's RFS and read those files from the boot folder inside the encrypted partition, hence eliminating the need to store the files in unencrypted disk space. This is Safe Boot allows you to boot binary signed in which much more important things have encrypted. Besides, Luke's key file introduce inframs to avoid double password prompt. That's interesting. I wonder. Hmm. It seems this is an issue. It seems like what Linux thing to do is to create one fucking website with your name, and that's it. Motherfucker's a Haskell programmer, so I respect him. All Haskell programmers hate themselves, so I know they know they have elite ball knowledge. I just know that and after obtaining X is going to start using that. Using what? I have to look at this and then we'll get back to the main topic. Or obtain X. I'm retarded. Okay. These motherfuckers know ball. These ball knowers. Okay, it's got built-in verification. Virus total APK scanning. Cool. Advanced filters, skip version. Per app color theming. Alright, based actually. Elite ball knowledge actually. Live search bar material 3. Can I get Obtainium X from Obtainium? I kind of hate how this looks, though. Maybe it's because that looks like piss yellow. And diarrhea yellow. This is elite ball knowledge. All right, we're gonna look. But first, I wonder if I can find it. Someone sent this to me. Do I still appear in the top results? Oh, nice. Based. Oh, wow. It me. I'm glad I show up. I look like a chud here. I'm sad that I show up at the same time as oh yeah, there's my short. I spell fetuses. I spell features like fetuses like a retard. Look how important I am. 100K views, guys. I'm worth millions of dollars now. I don't trust this guy. His name's Ross.
They're really trying to make it illegal
God damn.
for you to protect your privacy on your phone. One of the key features of GrapheneOS, an alternative operating system to Android, is that you can enter a PIN that actually wipes your phone instead of unlocking it, called a duress PIN, which is exactly what this Atlantic...
He hasn't been charged, by the way. Just saying. Everyone's just like, lose your cucks like this. Not him. Or him. Or that person. Or that person. Cucks like this just feed up. Yo, I'm curious and intrigued what you hear to say about the GrapheneOS. I think the GrapheneOS pin duress thing is overblown. We're not lawyers. We're not in the court. The person hasn't been charged. They're not in jail. I don't care. Use a duress pin. It's not illegal. It's very simple. I'll even show people how to set it up. What does this guy say?
What is GrapheneOS? So a Graphene operating system is...
I thought this was AI. He's so British, I thought it was AI.
Similar to any other operating system, you've got Apple OS, you have Android OS.
It's Android. Fuck this guy. I'm so mad already. It's Android. It's a fork of Android. Okay. I'm done.
You have Linux, you have a range of different operating systems.
It's not a different operating system. It is forked from fucking It's forked from Android. Read! That's like saying, like, Debian. It's like saying fucking Debian. I know it sounds semantical, but it's true. GrapheneOS is Android. It's not a custom ROM. It's a fork. They forked Android to do its security and privacy improvements. Anyone can do this.
Systems. GrapheneOS, they don't develop their own phones. What they do have is a range of phones that are usually Android-based.
No, they don't have a range of phones. They use the Pixel only, and this is recent.
They are compatible with. So what happens is you buy the phone from the store, secondhand if you want to. I'll never suggest buying a second-hand phone, especially if you care about security. But you buy the phone from wherever you want. You clear off that Android operating system, and you install the Graphene operating system. For a lot of people, that's going to sound so difficult to do, or...
I hate this. I'm mad.
That's why I have the GrapheneOS. You know, I've had this phone for...
I love it. I love the scary music from behind. Honestly, that's my favorite. My favorite type of YouTube content is when they put spooky music. Sorry if you hear that. My mic is either really good or really bad. Jay's always like, I can hear your laundry in the background. And then people are like, I can hear bongos, which I think I got gaslit on, to be honest.
For a while, I don't.
This is a different one than you had before. The one you had an old iPhone that
No,
and then you went to
the Pixel. This is old, so we basically rip all the Google stuff off, and this is the 6. I had the 4. It was...
I had the Pixel 6. It was Google's objectively best phone. But do a duress pen. Fucking do it.
just time to upgrade.
Do a duress pen. Don't listen to the FUD. This guy was like, we don't know. It's gay.
Screen was cracking, it was falling apart. And yet,
This is what boomers do. They just tell you random shit that doesn't matter. My phone was falling apart. The screen was cracking. My wife left me. My kids hate me. But I have GrapheneOS, by the way. I'm gay.
if you're connected to a network, you're still, they still know where you are.
Yeah.
But the apps cannot spy on me. I know.
By the way, Android 10. This has been a thing. The apps cannot talk to each other. This is built into Android. The apps aren't directly spying on you. They're collecting metadata like anything else. If you go on Instagram on your computer, it's collecting metadata on you. If you're going on Instagram on your fucking teleprompter from 1936, it's collecting metadata on you. Goddamn. But go on. I
You know
digress.
what the apps are doing? I think they're running a sandbox, so nothing goes in or out unless.
This is native to Android. I don't remember what stream I did this on, but we had a stream where we looked into how Android handles this in general. Google Sandbox pays. So if we're using the rest pays in the UK, how would we get around that? So fortunately, I'm not British. So keep that in mind. Not a lawyer, not British. But if you're in the UK and it's illegal to wipe your phone, that's hard. I would say your best bet is to have a separate profile or use spaces. And find a way to reboot your phone consistently.
I give it that permission.
That's GrapheneOS.
Yeah. No agenda. That's why I have the GrapheneOS. You know, I've had this phone for a while. I don't.
This is a different one than you had before. The one you had an old iPhone. That
No.
No, I had a Pixel, man. I'm not gay. It's just funny. What a weird fucking... These sites don't make sense to me. They just clip podcasts and they... Like, the most unemployable fucking type of job.
That's why I have the GrapheneOS, you know.
If anyone's... and we can be arrested for posting on Twitter, yeah. Podcast clippers are fucking gay and unemployable. They're unemployed. Fuck you. If anyone ever comes across this and they're like, I clip podcasts for a living. Fuck you. And I hate you. You're gay and unemployable. Yeah, it's... So, I would say your best option is to... if you can't have GrapheneOS, then... Find a way to auto-reboot your phone to put it in its most secure state that's built into Android. Maybe secured space, like private spaces. Private spaces would be probably the best. I remember this fucking guy. I'm a former Apple user that switched to GrapheneOS. You forgot one thing. You log into an iPhone, you don't log into GrapheneOS. GrapheneOS doesn't have any servers. Yes, they do. What is this crackhead talking about? Apple is very good. Advanced data protection, lockdown mode, and encryption. But Apple still has system access to your phone. Access to the metadata, GPS coordinates, and so on. I'm not saying Apple is bad. I feel safer in GrapheneOS. That makes no sense. Between the thunders, you can easily be doxxed by thunder sound. Probably, actually. Your Zoom checks out, but yeah. Can the government get him at GrapheneOS? It depends. Probably. If you're forced to, yeah. This is a person who doesn't understand it. They don't have Apple doesn't have system access to your phone. Like you're just making, this is what I'm saying. People just make claims on the internet without any information. GrapheneOS does have servers. They have server. How do you update your phone, you fucking retard? Like, what a dumb take. This is also a dumb take. I located a live stream using background thunder sounds channel. Yeah, we're in Costa Rica, boys. Actually, you can do it with bongo. I don't believe it. Thunder's not real. Bongo noises. Congratulations, you can block all ads. But to say that like Apple knows who you are because you have an account, for sure they know who you are because you have an account. But that's how everything works. Google Play services, they know who you are because you have an account. If you saying Apple has system access to your phone is such a stupid fucking dumb brain take though. Like it's retarded because you are taking the reason this disinformation sucks is because you're taking information and you're spreading it without doing your research. And because you don't do your own research and you say it, people are going to inherently agree with something like this. Going to watch the video after we're done here, 88K views in a day. The thing is, GrapheneOS has servers. They talk about this. They talk about their log policy. They talk about how long they keep stuff, etc., what they collect, what they don't collect. Not that complicated. People need to learn how the fucking internet needs to work before they make a dumbass fucking take like this. And the reason this is a dumbass take is because dumbasses fucking like it and don't push back on it. That's the problem. Unless I'm mistaken, data under GrapheneOS is also encrypted. According to the wiki, file data is encrypted with AS256. Yes! What are these crackers talking about?
Because I have advanced data protection turned on, which I will tell you guys about in a minute.
We have lockdown mode, by the way. I can guess your age from talk pauses that you make. Don't forget the bussy frequency.
Android does not have anything like that at this time.
Yes, it does.
But for iPhone, it is something that is
even 11 months ago, it did.
Actually very necessary. And I just plan out my whole life in reminders and calendars, so very important.
By the way, Apple doesn't have encryption, I believe, on calendars and email by default. Just saying.
Let's go on
I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, correct me, for the love of God.
GrapheneOS, because yeah, you can get Proton Calendar, but reminders, there's really no substitute at least yet. You'll also
There's no substitute for reminders is fucking crazy. Why this faggot uses fucking Proton. It's so fucking insane. I hate it here. I must have full resolution photos and videos, which no one's installing Signal. Alright, you just suck at telling people. I'm switching from Samsung, Google to Apple. I know Graphene would be best, but mostly extremely tired of Google. Samsung Messages now being Google Messages. You don't need that, by the way. And I've always preferred Apple's aesthetics, and I got the MacBook Neo. What a fag. Then Motorola will release the Razr Ultra with GrapheneOS. No, they won't. They're going to put it on their. We don't know what devices they're putting on. They are putting on their flagship devices. I'm hurt. Although my current daily driver is iPhone 14 along with Mac Mini, Mac Air, and iPad Pro. Imagine being this hyper level of consumerism. It hurts. I can brainwash you. I can guess your. My problem is when people get hyper capitalist and they're like, it just works, guys. I don't Apple because I don't want to be locked in their ecosystem. I switched to GrapheneOS from Google, even though you're still using Android. 100% if you're okay on Android. Switching to Graphene is a must. I mean, sure. We must wait for Linux to catch up until then it's Tim Apple. What does Linux have to do with this? I do feel that. I'm still actively trying GrapheneOS though. Tim Apple has been making sus plans. Okay. These are just retards. I'm like, but why don't you show display of the iPhone bigger? We see 9%. Okay, blah, blah, blah. So between all the phones, are these two the most secure and private? iPhone and GrapheneOS are the most secure. GrapheneOS can be more private than iOS. Set up properly, iOS can be quite private if the great links are taken. Next DNS, that doesn't fucking matter! Setting, ADP enabled, true. Unless you're in the UK. However, GrapheneOS can be horrendous with privacy if you still install bad apps like Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp. This can happen on Apple. Doesn't even matter. DNS doesn't protect your privacy. You can still see where they're going. This has been proven. Get this out of your head. You are making yourself unique when you do DNS. When you install an ad blocker, you're making yourself unique. Just saying. No one is getting inside this phone. GrapheneOS startup guide. I need to see this. I hate seeing this. I hate this.
This phone would get you arrested. Just
all right, I'm done. I hate these people. It's not going to get you arrested. We're in the U.S. Come on. Want to buy me a coffee? No. Wish GrapheneOS worked on more phones and tablets? No, you don't. Parasites are depressed when they cannot be taken over the host. GrapheneOS should have a realistic Android decoy mode. A duress pin would boot the decode with a securely wrapping or locking profile. They have already answered this. I'm going to answer it. On Huawei phones, you could set up 2 profiles with 2 different pin codes. You can. All right, something to talk about the decoy mode. The decoy mode needs to be stored somewhere, right? Anyone? Right? Someone answer yes. Someone say hell yeah in the comments if you're listening. So if it's stored somewhere, that means it can be forensically investigated, you fucking moron. Grr, it just hurts my skin. It hurts my balls, actually. Because you get morons that come in, Ask Rock. The reason goes, if it were truly private, it wouldn't be allowed on hardware from a U.S. company. Some add that limiting support pixels due to the hardware security model. Long update support is self-suspicious. Variant Daniel McKay is an asset under control because he's Canadian and the project doesn't fully disclose dishonest privacy reasons. No. Donors themselves. He's Canadian. The project doesn't fully disclose the donors. They're a non-profit. They have to disclose their donors. What are you talking about? Their donors are fully disclosed. Daniel McKay is not also the project. He's just the head project. He's not even actively involved. It doesn't even really matter. And saying this is a no true Scotsman's fallacy anyways. Like, oh, it can't truly be private because of this. That's retarded. First off, a decoy mode, any second profile that is placed inside GrapheneOS or any operating system can be forensically discovered. It is a waste of time, it's retarded, and it's coming from morons that sit on the internet and try to think of stuff, and they're like, I think my balls are huge. when they're not. If it was already a good idea, don't you think that the people that are working on the project would fucking do it? You fucking idiot. I'm so like angry. I get so angry because like it's such a, you like see these morons and then they get like, yeah, dude, this is super right. This isn't me in real life though, guys. I'm a very helpful person. I would call this person retarded, but I would be like, this is why you're retarded. And guess who tried to do this, by the way? Guess who tried to do this? The Anon phone. They made a secondary app that hid the contents of said app. And guess what fucking happened? Like, do the math. You can't make a private profile and not make it discoverable. Use common sense. It doesn't exist. Thanks and respect. Okay. Hope you will start uploading. Odyssey sucks. Odyssey's gay. If it wasn't for those hardware backdoors in the undocumented Google tech, feel free to share any reputable source on that comment, and they never do. No way. There's no way to get inside. Something Spanish. Something Russian. Does the GrapheneOS backup also back up specific app database? Some yes, some no. By the way, Seed Vault needs to get removed. Seed Vault is terrible, and they've said for a long time that Seed Vault is not ideal and it should be replaced, but we don't know how long that's going to last. I like GrapheneOS, but I hate the Pixel hardware. I'm waiting for a Motorola phone. Notorious Raw Dogger. Guys, yes, they'll be very interesting to look at 2027 device announcement. I'll update with any information to find. Will be clashes with laws. What laws do you think will be clashed? The right to privacy, that doesn't exist. The right of innocence to ambiguity, that doesn't exist. Where's Law Giant? What are your thoughts on the debate between the government surveillance and blah, blah, blah. The guy people haven't been, this is like, the problem with this hyperbolic shit. The problem with this hyperbolic shit is gay.
I'm a former CIA officer, and 6 weeks
ago... No! It's the up phone! Oh my god, please, somebody fucking kill me! Oh god, this one's gonna hurt for 11 minutes. 800,000 subs, and he looks like a fucking cock. Oh my god, and this... I'm sorry, this has turned into a hate fest.
Oh, I tested the up phone by Unplugged. I said that, hey, I'm going to keep an open mind. I'm going to do this because guess what? This right here is my flip phone. And yes, I use a flip phone. I've always used a flip phone. And people are always trying to get me to use a smartphone. So this up phone...
Guys, I use a flip phone where I use SMS that's not encrypted. I use XYZ phone calls, which is unencrypted. I don't use Signal. I use firmware that's probably outdated. I'm CIA. Don't worry about it. Fucking retard. And he worked for this. Just remember, the CIA's IQ test to get in is probably lukewarm. Just saying.
By Unplugged is supposedly, or they told me supposedly, a hack-proof phone.
Nope. No such thing. Stop believing. GrapheneOS can get hacked. It doesn't matter. Your ISP can track you. Your telecom can track you. You're sending unencrypted messages through your telecom, which can be read. SMS isn't secure. This isn't fucking schizophrenic talking. This isn't like fucking shit that's new. It's always been able to be done. Jason, fucking suck my balls. I should just start putting hyperbolic retard titles like this. X-Incel tells you why GrapheneOS is based.
At first,
I'm getting angry.
For 7 days, I had it for a week, tried it. It was good, I liked some things, but again, after a week, you really don't know much. So now we're 6 weeks past. I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, the ugly.
I never trust anyone that looks like this, by the way.
The negative stuff that I found, the stuff that I really, really like, and whether I'm going to keep continuing to carry this. So
he's going to continue to carry his flip phone like an idiot and use unencrypted communications. If they are using a fork of Signal, it's probably outdated commits.
So let's jump right to it.
By the way, All Things Secured is a fucking boomer, and I don't like him. And he's a sponsored fucking type of video like channel. Like everything is a sponsor with him. I think he's cringe, and his takes are terrible.
Let's not waste time. So first, this is the phone by him.
Your conversations aren't being listened to. You can prove this. You can go get Wireshark and do it yourself. By the way.
This is version 2. So this was launched, I believe, August 2024.
Gay. I think they forked either GrapheneOS or Graphene. I can't remember. I think it was
version
Calyx.
had some bugs. They cleaned everything up. So this phone was made by
No, they didn't.
one of the smartest tech minds on the
No, it's not.
planet, and it's made for people who value their safety, security, and privacy.
No, it's not.
Which is 100% me, and which is I'm still, I use a flip phone and haven't switched to a smartphone yet. So
Doesn't matter. You don't have to install anything proprietary on a smartphone. You don't have to install Instagram. People that use a flip phone to justify why they don't need to do stuff means that they have no self-control. And that's fine. If you don't have self-control, that's completely fine. But if you are getting an insecure flip phone versus a secure smartphone that has better ways to secure communications, you can't stop yourself from going to fucking bigmommymilkers.com, that's a you problem. Quit projecting.
So that's what you need to know about the unplugged phone. So when I started using this, probably one of my favorite things about this phone was it's got a kill switch.
Waste. Useless. Your phone compromised? Doesn't fucking matter. By the way. Insecure hardware? Doesn't fucking matter. When you go back online? Doesn't fucking matter. There, I solved it. I saved you 30 seconds of your life. 5 minutes of your life possibly looking, do hardware switches really matter? They don't. They're a gimmick. They're gay. Nobody uses, if hardware switches were that great, they would be on every phone. And I could even go even deeper into this. I've listened to security researchers and experts and also just people that understand how technology works. You can fundamentally have a hardware switch. It doesn't matter. If your phone is compromised, if your hardware is compromised, if you're insecure, if you have an insecure OS, it doesn't matter. It's simple. You can still get compromised. If you have malware on your phone and you have malware on your computer and you have a hardware switch, it's just going to wait till you turn it on. That's how good malware is. Malware can be network aware. Oh, I'm in a virtual environment. I'm not going to run. Oh, I have no network access. I'm not going to run. These retards think that like malware doesn't exist, that where it's not self-aware, and it's not like sophisticated like super based malware. Also, again, when you re-enable the fucking hardware switch, which you have to do to make calls and text or whatever, or send your gooning videos, it doesn't fucking matter. You now are going to still have the malware still there. You're still going to be compromised. By the way, hardware switches, stupid.
Like a physical kill switch, meaning they send you a tiny little tool. I put it in the side there. I pull down. It disconnects the battery from the...
Oh my god, disconnects the battery. Fucking stupid. Motherfuckers act like that's gonna stop it. Guys, I have a outdated firmware version of a MediaTek CPU. My motherboard is 8 years old. My hardware, it was built not with security in mind. But battery switch. This whole argument like that, like put your phone in, go home, put your phone in airplane mode, and try to make a call. Try to do anything, and you can't. It's not like it's like, oh, let's fake this for it. Try to make a call. Try to do anything. Put your phone in complete airplane mode. Shut it off and try to fucking call someone. Fucking put it on your network. Turn your phone off. Use Wireshark. I mean, like, there's so many tests you can do this to just fucking show how dumb this is.
On the phone. Because if you've got an iPhone or whatever phone, even though you turn it off, you can still be tracked. People still know where you're going. But with this...
No. This has been done. They've done this. They've tested this. So iPhones even tell you it's when a phone is turned off, in Bluetooth energy mode, low. So because Apple was Find My iPhone, which you can disable, by the way, and you can disable this. And when if you disable it and then you turn it off, how do they re-enable it when it's turned off? If you take your phone and you turn it off and you have Bluetooth low energy mode, of course it can still run. It runs on its own tiny battery. It can still be tracked. This is a convenience factor. Turn it off and try to find it. And if it's the CIA looking for you, no fucking shit. They can find you a million other ways. Like, this is the problem. This is coming from some cuck sitting in his fucking garage with a 4-quad. Because his wife left him. God damn. It's so easy to understand. If you are in an environment where the government is trying to capture you, no shit, they can just go to the telecom companies and be like, hey, where was the last location of this fucking loser that's like fucking kids or something? They're gonna find you. Because they can just contact the telecom companies, the telecom companies, and they have to give it over. Because it's a request from the fucking government. And no shit, they can see your last location. Like, not that big brain fucking of an idea. Like, guys, the government found out where I was last location because they went to AT&T and was like, hey, where's this fucking loser? He's fucking kids. Oh, here you go. No problem. Really, like, think about it. Put some brain power into it. But if you take out the battery, whether you take the battery out or not, Bluetooth energy mode, energy is not finite, right? We understand this. Say it with me. Think about it. Energy is not infinite. If I unplug my computer and it has a built-in battery, it's going to die, right? Common sense. Low energy Bluetooth modules exist. So this is known. Apple uses Bluetooth for its network. It's going to show its last known location, and it even tells you until it dies. It's going to die within, I think it's like 20 or 30 minutes, maybe an hour at most, and then dies. And guess what happens when energy dies? Like when batteries die, it stops producing energy because you know Moore's law. Not Moore's law, thermodynamics or whatever you learned in school. Think about it really deep. It can't infinitely show its last location. Just do some math. Think about it. Turn your phone off and try to do it. You think the government has this super secret access where they're just seeing like, we got his triangular location, guys. Try to go on Apple's website and find your phone when it's been dead for like 30 minutes, like beyond 30 minutes. Do it every couple hours. Let your phone die. Wait a couple hours. Go fucking find it. Be my guest. Because you're going to look like a dumbass. But I continue.
Literally disconnect. It's a physical kill switch.
Doesn't matter.
If I turn my phone off, battery's not connected, it's not sending out the signal, I can't.
You can't prove that it's disconnected either. You literally can't. You are trusting the upballs, which I believe they took GrapheneOS and they committed a license violation somewhere. I think they used either GrapheneOS or CalyxOS. I can't remember which one. We looked at them a long time ago, and it was retarded.
Can't be found. So I really like that. I value my privacy. I have some very high-end sensitive meetings, and a lot of times I'm either leaving my phone at my hotel or I've got my phone in a Faraday bag.
Waste of money. Tinfoil is free. Put your phone in airplane mode and try to make a call. Do it. I test you. Get a text while it's off. The Faraday bags are a waste of money. Use tinfoil.
To make sure that nobody absolutely knows where I'm going. So kill some.
Leave it at home. If you're that nervous, I don't try. And motherfucker has a flip phone that uses end-to-end encrypted fucking communications. By the way, this is a fucking CIA officer. By the way, that's what I like. That's what I'm like irate about. I have a flip phone, guys. No encrypted end-to-end SMS. Can't text my friends.
Switch feature, definite plus, definitely like it. Another thing I like about this phone was that you can set it to automatically reboot and wipe clean.
I think
anytime anytime you want. So I set it daily, meaning I think it's around 7 p.m. when I set it. I don't remember, not that the time matters. But every 24 hours, it reboots itself, it wipes itself clean. Not that I'm doing anything super sensitive on them.
Schedule an automatic reboot to clear cache files, enhance security by removing potential trackers and listeners from your device. What? I'm confused. And by the way, being like a CI officer doesn't mean anything. Like, I just want to make that clear. It doesn't make you a security expert. You're just throwing that out. Throwing that out there. It means nothing. It's no difference than this guy talking, but who makes the Brax phone, by the way, on cheap MediaTek fucking hardware, and uses a fork of GrapheneOS, which is if it uses micro G, it uses Google Play services. By the way, you can go down that rabbit hole. Just saying.
Phone, but I still like knowing if, heaven forbid, it fell into the wrong hands, if something happened.
I'm not sure about this. I don't know what the fuck they mean by it clears files in. You have before unlocked, after unlocked. Before unlocked takes everything and puts it at rest, encrypted, and puts it in the most secure state. That simple. It doesn't clear your files or your cache. Then reboot your phone and pull up your fucking previous fucking like opened tabs. It'll be there. Do it. Like, if that's what they're referring to, I don't know what the fuck crack they're smoking at the Up phone, but I forgot. These guys are some of the smartest people I've. I swear, this all shit is. This always feels sponsored. They're some of the smartest people I've ever met. Like, you can be. Remember, you can be the smartest person in the room, full of retards. Find a niche topic that you're. If you know everything about trains and you go around fucking people that don't know shit about trains, you will be the smartest person in the room. Am I right? Remember, snake oil is sold to retards. Again, I've touched the Braxme phone. I've touched the Up phone. I've had people. I've ran into people that have obtained this and spent the money, which is crazy, by the way. I'm like, wow, what a waste. Next, I want to get. I feel like I have a voice. This is awesome. You should. All of these forks are a gimmick to grab your money and give you a false sense of security. If they were so good, if they were so good, they would prove it. And they wouldn't be forking GrapheneOS.
Happened is that I'm rebooting it daily. I'm wiping it clean daily. That way there's not a ton of personal information and nothing you have to worry about there. So that is kind of bonus number 2.
I don't know what the fuck this is. Like, I need to understand this. I need to understand what they're talking about. I'm like visibly confused. I do auto reboot every 30 minutes. Because I don't want my phone to ever be in a position where it's like not in the before unlocked versus the after unlocked state, which you can just read about.
This phone. Number 3 of what I really like about the phone is there's zero data collection.
You don't fucking know this. God damn. And they rarely give cred to devs. Yeah. Right. Yeah. You don't get data collection from free and open source apps. Actually, free and open source apps can collect data. This is such a misconception. Like, if you can look at Firefox. Hey, can we collect data so we can make our product? You can collect data in somewhat of a private manner. Like, hey, how much information? Like you can opt into GrapheneOS, giving them crash reports, and they tell you, hey, this is anonymous. This is how long we hold it. Same thing with when you first set up GrapheneOS. They tell you what information they collect, what they have to collect, and how long they hold it. It's not that difficult. Saying zero data collected is fucking retarded. How do they fix bugs? John Hansen? How do they fix device crashes? John Hansen? How do applications improve? John, you know what I mean? Like, is this guy smoking crack?
Let me explain what
Well, he's the CIA, so of course he is. Just kidding. /s, I don't want to get sued.
that means, because I know if
And remember, no such thing as former CIA. Just throwing that out there. I wouldn't trust anything that Eric Prince touches. I don't know who Eric Prince is, so.
confusing is there's these independent testing companies. One is Raxis Cybersecurity, and they compared the iPhone 16 to this phone right here, the unplugged phone. And the iPhone, not surprisingly, sent hundreds of data packets to Apple servers. So analytic stuff, location information, diagnostics, usage data, basically constant surveillance, because they're one of the worst of the worst when it comes to surveillance on your phone. But when this company tested the Up phone, there were 0 packets, 0.
How does it get updates? What the fuck are they smoking? Do they just not get updates? Even GrapheneOS they tell you what you touch. The server, I have to get updates from somewhere, right? Huh? Think about it. Blackwater founder, one of the people behind this phone. Oh, Jesus Christ, yeah. Oh, okay. R.I.P. I'm not saying because you're the behind like a company, but if like obviously Peter Thiel was like, I back this, I wouldn't trust it because Peter Thiel's a shitty person on a host of reasons. But the point is, when you read this, for the upphone, no evidence in packet captures of DNS lookups or data packets sent or received from third-party tracking sites during tests. I performed 3,100 DNS queries to third-party tracking domains and sent to receive total of 2,000. Okay. With 1 hour testing, Raxis monitored data activity across all 3 phones in their standard factory configuration while engaging with 33 wide use apps like Snapchat, Expedia, Pinterest. So, okay, for the Up phone, how the fuck did it reach Snapchat and Pinterest? And how the fuck did you go to any website? What are they talking about? That doesn't make any sense. Galaxy performed 1,368 DNS requests to third-party tracking domains. If someone donates me $800, I'll buy the Up phone and I'll see it live. I could never justify $800 for this pile of shit. Or if someone could send me the Up phone for free, I want to see that it does 0 DNS lookups. What does that even... Does it not connect to the internet? Like, what does that even mean? Even GrapheneOS, I connect to the fucking internet. What are they talking about? I'm confused.
But when this company tested the Up phone, there were 0 packets, 0 trackers, like not a zilch. So I obviously like that. That appeals to me. How does that...
What does that mean? What do you mean no trackers? The application is doing the process of the tracking.
Happen, the super tech genius nerds, they have an on-device firewall that's built into the operating system at the firmware level, and that essentially it blocks.
That's what it was. They stole Divest OS's antivirus scanner and violated GPL3 by not crediting him or something. That's what it was. They took their the virus scanner and they took like Davos made hyper something balls or something and something else. And something out. They took two. The Upphone is a privacy-first smartphone, co-founded and promoted by Blackwater founder Eric Kerprin's previous company, Unplugged. Yeah. Not surprised. Eric has very close ties to IDF. I mean, that doesn't shock me. He has money. But it's fucking stupid to think that, like, blocking third-party data tracking with a firewall is retarded. That's like, look, this is a very unsexy thing that people that don't like to talk about. Tracking is very complicated. You are a unique person. You do unique things on the internet. Very simple. No firewall, no VPN is a replacement for bad OPSEC and bad, and I mean this, bad internet habits. Your internet habits are tied to metadata. Your metadata is tied to you. Coming from the fucking CIA. The reason that you are able to get tracked is because you are unique. Not that crazy. The reason that you yourself makes operational security mistakes is the reason you get tracked. Blocking third-party app like data is the laziest way to do this. The connection, Eric Kibben, and the operations manager and the key software architecture for the Unplugged is a veteran officer from the United. Oh, okay. Sounds legit. Yeah. uBlock Origin is great because it blocks ads. uBlock Origin also doesn't protect you against fingerprinting. Fingerprinting's fucking insane. It's good. It's the point. Fingerprinting is so good, it's the point. It's not. It's common sense.
Third-party data harvesters.
Doesn't matter.
They can even make the connection. So this phone has no advertising ID, no ad ID at all.
You can delete that, by the way. Yeah, no such thing as a former 8200 for sure.
And the whole time I've been using this phone, I haven't, the 6 weeks. I haven't received a single ad. I haven't received anything fishy whatsoever as I've been using this phone, which again, definite bonus number 3.
You can do this now. You can delete your advertising ID on any, I believe any Android device allows you to do this. And just use Brave or a network blocking DNS server that blocks ads.
By the way, before I get to bonus number 4, people always ask me, well, if I go into my, Android, if I go into Google, if I go into my iPhone and I turn off the ads and the ad tracking, they're still going to track you, okay? So it's nonsense. It's basically like most people don't know this and they do it for a false sense of security.
I must get water. This is bullshit. This phone is literally designed to gain leverage on people. I have no proof, but it seems... Yeah, it's fucking snake oil. That's all it is. I'm not saying there's any nefarious thing going around. It's a false sense of security. I mean, GrapheneOS has talked about them in high lengths that they violated, I think it's GPL version 2 of GPL version 3, of stealing software and not giving credit to... I mean, I have my problems with GPL licensing, but they literally... they're still violating it. They're still stealing software. They're still taking someone else's work and then being like, it's ours. That's not the point. The point is this: deleting the advertising ID does nothing is yeah, at the core level, it doesn't matter. Because if you log into Facebook, there is a level of tracking that's always going to be done. If you log into Instagram and Snapchat, there's a lot of tracking that is going to be done. There's fingerprinting, there's screen resolution, there's spy pixels, there's Bluetooth scanning, there's Wi-Fi scanning. There's a host of things that make you trackable. That's true. How do you solve this? Progressive web apps. Delete them. Don't use them. Simple. Install GrapheneOS.
But you are still being tracked on your Android. You are still being tracked on your iPhone.
Sure. And you're still being tracked on this fucking retard phone. You act like you're not. You act like... By the way, do not track me on websites that is a pinky promise and is not guaranteed. Throwing that out there.
It's still going back to them, all the analytics, all the advertising information.
And that is a website basis. Websites are going to track you. Apps are going to track you. It doesn't fucking matter what operating system you have. The benefit of GrapheneOS is it is a secure sandbox that improves the security and the privacy. That's it. It doesn't ship with proprietary Google services. It doesn't ship with bloated apps that are pre-installed. That's simple. You don't need to. You can just log on Facebook from the website. It does isolation to prevent cross-site tracking. That is a problem. Hey, this person has Facebook. Hey, this person has Snapchat. They're logging in. They're probably the same person. They have the same IP address. They have the same screen resolution. They have the same this, that. Common sense. But what GrapheneOS does have is contact scope. So if you do install like Facebook or whatever, or Instagram, you can not expose your entire contact books. You cannot expose your entire, videos. You can do storage scope. There's tons of benefits to GrapheneOS. Just saying. This is a psyop. This is obviously fucking retarded.
Information where this phone blocks it, and it was proved, and like I said, over 6 weeks, I didn't see a single thing. Numeral 4, let's talk about geofencing. What is geofencing? Well, let me tell you a quick story that you probably remember. You remember January 6th, right? So January 6th, 2021, the FBI used geofencing to request location.
This can still be done on GrapheneOS, by the way. You fucking retard. They can use Stingray. Now, what prevents a Stingray attack? Stingray's is the company, not the actual product. But they can do a downgrade attack. The downgrade attack pushes you down to like 2G that's unencrypted, and then they can see more information and blah, blah, blah. I mean, you can go fucking search about it. Less tracking, not tracking free. Yeah, GrapheneOS improves on you getting tracked less. But if anyone ever makes the claim of zero tracking, they're fucking retarded. Impossible. Unless you throw out your phone.
Google. So that is basically they're geofencing the area, saying who's in this area, who had a phone. They used that geofencing info from Google to arrest over 1,000 people who were in the area based on the data. So geofencing means, like I said, they drew a digital perimeter around, and they said who's got their phone on, who's around the Capitol, and they said give us every phone number, every person's information, and then they went and arrested them. Obviously, terrible, horrible invasion of privacy. There was a young man that used to ride his bike around his neighborhood, and they whooped.
This can be done on the up phone. If he has AT&T on his fucking phone, it doesn't matter. They can downgrade you to 2G and fucking guess who you are by going over to AT&T and being like, hey, this retard was here at the Capitol on January 6th.
Woman's house was broken into. So the police went and got a geofencing warrant, and they happened to see, well, hey, there's this person that drives around the house.
Doesn't matter. It happens. This is a telecom issue. This is not a phone issue. Telecom providers, by the way, this fucking retard uses a flip phone that this can be done to, especially if it doesn't so GrapheneOS allows you to enforce no 2G services. You can turn it on. It kills 2G. Doesn't work. Can't be downgraded to 2G. There we go. Simple.
Almost every day.
Solved.
drives but rides, right? They went and spoke to this young kid and threatened him, and he had to get a lawyer, spend a bunch of money, and realize, hey, this is just a kid. Now, when I say he was young, he was probably like 18, 19, so he wasn't a 5-year-old, but still. And he had to get a lawyer, pay a bunch of money, all because he decided to ride his bike around the neighborhood. They invaded his privacy. They saw, hey,
Yeah, we don't know anything about this story, so I don't care. People like to...
they can harass you, but it's not going to happen with the iPhone. Another thing that I obviously like about it. Okay, bonus number 4 or 5. I think we're on bonus number 5. Bonus number 5 is there's an emergency pin reset. In my first video after...
So yeah, it is GrapheneOS that they forked and took the backs of the developers and sold it at a 900. It has to be, or it has to be like a fucking fork of like their stuff.
Trying this out for a week. I mentioned about a guy who got robbed in Mexico. They made him unlock his phone. They made him empty his bank account and everything. Well, this unplugged phone...
By the way, if you don't give them what they want, I'm not saying this is like... How do I explain it? I'm not saying this like can't be hit with the $5 like wrench method where they just beat the shit out of you. It doesn't matter. The Duress pen is great in a law enforcement situation or when your phone gets about to get stolen. But if someone beats the shit out of you and you put a Duress pen, they're like, well, he raped his phone. Guys, now let's just kill him. That's what I'm saying. Like, they'll just fucking murder you. It doesn't matter. Obviously, it's great. Yeah, they're cool. They don't have your stuff. They don't have your money. But now you have nothing, and they're like, we will you kind of know who we are and kind of beat the shit out of you. Let's just kill you. That's how I think of it. The Duress pen's great. You should do it. You should set it up. It's great. I have my different approach how you should set up your phone. If you're going to a different country, delete your phone. Put on normal GrapheneOS, just standard stock. Download it when you're across the border. Call it a day. Don't look like you have money, by the way. And don't go to countries that hate you, maybe. I don't know. Figure it out.
It has a duress pin, so heaven forbid somebody puts a gun to your head and says, hey, open your phone and empty your bank account. You go in there, you see everything, and won't allow them to get to your ATM machines, and thieves were forcing them to unlock their phones. They were draining, their phones by Venmo, Zelle, Payors, because one couple lost over $47,000
They'll be fine.
Because the thieves made them unlock their phone. Again, this was in Spain, but it like how it can wipe my information, and it looks normal, meaning if you go in there and you put everything is going to look everything, so you can say, get my stuff, and so that's bone negative, the one kind of quote-unquote fail that I found. Another bonus is a built-in VPN. You got to have a VPN, virtual private network, these days, whether on your phone.
Here we go, guys. Have the built-in VPN on the phone that you paid with probably your debit card. It cost like $900, by the way. And trust them. This is coming from a guy with a flip phone that I can't trust. Guys, use a VPN. But on my flip phone, I'm just going to keep hitting on the flip phone because flip phones suck. And they have no end-to-end encrypted communication option. Just saying. Guys, my VPN protected me, but I did send cock pictures to my neighbor's wife, and they found out. Sorry. Could have ended this, but I did not.
Whether on your computer, if you are surfing the internet without a VPN and you are going into Starbucks or the Wi-Fi or your hotel, you might as well just be sending your information to the world and broadcasting to the world. So
No. This guy's fucking bullshit. He's retarded. Look, VPNs transfer trust. The information that you use from A to B on a website is encrypted. The ISP can still spy on the websites you go to. If you use encrypted DNS, it does not matter. You can still see the people's DNS request. Transferring it to a VPN and using their DNS service, meaning, yes, the ISP can now not see your web request and they cannot see what you're doing. Now the VPN can see what you're doing. Do you trust them? What information don't you want them to and to not know? It does not matter. A built-in VPN is pointless. It's retarded. Buy your own. Make it separate. Do not put all your eggs in one basket. You do not know how they set up their VPN. You do not know what they log. You do not trust, and you should not trust what they log. You don't know what information that they are collecting, what they can and cannot see, and you don't know what they can do or not do with the government. So no thank you. Waste of...
Absolutely have to use a VPN. Sorry.
No logs is a bunch of bullshit. There's tons of VPNs that have said this, and they were logging, and they did hand information over to the government. Do not trust this. Retarded, gay, and a gimmick.
Built in. That's a bonus. Also has a built-in SD card. So if there's information that you don't want, on the web and protected, it's with you. It's a built-in SD card.
That's cool. That should be on every phone. You should have an SD card option. Though I think people don't. They're not going to back up their data routinely, so just keep that in mind. And if you lose this, you're kind of fucked.
I like that. Admittedly, I didn't really use that one that much, so I do.
You should keep it local though.
Like it. I can use it for emergency purposes, but
I don't know what emergency purposes you could use that for. By the way, that's just. I think he's just like CIA. Like this is like boomer CIA talk where they take their brain and they just say shit. Like even if it doesn't make sense, because what are you going to use an SD? It's just SD cards more convenient. You don't have to upload anything to the cloud. But SD cards also have notoriously bad read and write speeds. They have bad longevity speeds. They've been known to get corrupted. It's just how the data works. It's just how data works. I mean, ideally, you would never store anything on them long term. They're cool. They're cheap, inexpensive way to back up your data, but you should back it up on a more performance and long-term solution like an SSD, NVE drive, or if you get into tape or like any of the other better formats under the planet. And you could get a shitty SD card that just gets corrupted one day and then you lost all your titty pictures. Sorry, USB-C is more useful. That's true. USB-C is more useful. And on GrapheneOS, you can actually choose the way your USB device accepts and receives information.
I had no reason to use it when I was doing my stuff. And it's got good battery life, which I like battery life. Okay, now let's get to the bad. What did I not like after 6 weeks of using the iPhone?
My wife left me.
I am flagged. Okay, so what is the bad? Well, you get access to the apps ecosystem if you want to. So, thousands of apps. So if you want to start putting those apps on there, you can. However, because this is protecting you from Google, some of the apps might not work. So if you're putting some of the Google apps or whatever, because this is blocking things, because it's protecting your privacy, some apps may not work as intended. So if you have an app, again, I'm not a huge app guy, so I think of Candy Crush when I think about it. I don't even know if that's still a game these days that the youngest.
What is he talking about? What are they using? If they're using MicroG, that uses Google still. But if this is a fork of Android, like a fork of GrapheneOS, or they just forked Android and then stole everyone else's ideas and just labeled as their own. Tons of apps work without Google Play services. The only ones that need it is banking apps, I believe, and I think that's due to safety net. I think I'm right about that one.
Are playing, but there may be some apps that you say like, hey, why isn't this Google-related app working on my phone? Because this is protecting you from being tracked. So if you
it's not.
Want to download 10,000 apps, there may be some of those apps that aren't.
Nobody's doing that.
Work. That's a negative for some people. For me, again, I'm not downloading 10,000 apps. I don't really give a crap.
This is what boomers say too, by the way. They're like, they just put an insane number in front of something and they just say it. They're like 18,000 apps. Yeah, I think banking, because of safety net, most of the time needs Google Play services, but you can just set up private spaces and it's solved. Or use them as a progressive web app. The progressive web app is the most efficient way to do a lot of things because it's more private. It's running in the browser, especially if you're running Vidanium or like Brave, blocks ads. You don't need to have some faggot VPN do that for you. Blocking ads is not like that complicated anymore or like trivial or like super unique and secure. Just use Brave or use a DNS, change your like DNS host to like one with the blocking ads like Quad9 or just use a VPN. There you go. Solved. VPN, ad blocking DNS like NextDNS or whatever. or like Android, you can do system-wide blocking, or just fucking, I don't know, like balls.
The other thing that'll be
Progressive web app.
might be a negative for some people is I was showing this to my wife, taking some pictures, and I don't really take that many pictures. My wife, speaking of 10,000 apps, she takes 10,000 pictures probably.
This guy has a wife. They're definitely unhappy. No, the divorce is coming. I feel
Every day.
like.
So the quality on the phone for the camera is slightly less than an iPhone.
No! Oh my god! Oh, it hurts. It's worse than an iPhone. I hate that that's the fucking standard. My balls are sweating just thinking about it. About how gay we've hit it. Dude, social media compresses your shit anyway, so it doesn't. No one cares. You shouldn't be uploading your photos to social media anyways.
I can notice, looks the exact same to me. You know, I'm not doing a whole bunch of stuff, but for my wife who can notice, like, you know, a speck of hair when we're taking pictures.
Babe, you don't look as good as my other boyfriend that I haven't told you about. Oh, I know about him. You don't look as good as my second boyfriend. Please stop using Just for Men.
She noticed, so she said, yeah, it's slightly worse than an iPhone.
No shit. It's a fucking mid-tier Chinese phone, double the price. Quit smoking crack, guys. Get a DSLR. Just be an adult. Get a real camera. If you use phone camera, gay. If you use real camera, no internet. Actually, no internet connection needed for my DSLR, guys. I've achieved peak. I'm more offline and based than these guys. I use a normal camera, an MP3 player, and GrapheneOS in airplane mode. I'm more untrackable. And I don't use unencrypted SMS messages because I don't have a flip phone. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just too mean to the boomers that don't understand technology.
That bothers you, yeah, it is what it is. Doesn't bother me whatsoever. I much more value my privacy and all that kind of stuff.
No, you don't. You're on YouTube, and I can see your face, and you're a CIA agent. You do not value your privacy. You're on YouTube. You just told me about your wife. I see your background. I could probably figure out where you live from that quad. You're a CIA agent. What are you talking about?
Okay, so
his wife is taking 10x pictures of herself to send to Chad's on Instagram for sure.
Down to brass tacks. After 6 weeks of using the phone, who is this for? Who is this not for? Well, as I just mentioned, if you're one of these people who wants to download,
you also seem like you have a cameraman, so they know who you are. So privacy now dropped.
Load 10,000 apps and have access to everything and doesn't care about your privacy, well then obviously you don't get this because some of the apps are not going to work. This is absolutely not for you. If you value your safety, if you value your privacy, if you want to make sure that the government, Uncle Sam is a government, Apple, Google are not tracking you, well then get this.
What do you mean? They can 100% track you. The government can just go to your fucking telecom provider and be like, who's the retard with this phone? And they're like, oh, this guy. Done. There. It's not that complicated. Like it's painful how gay pilled these fuckers get. Plus, don't trust a former CIA. Let me see what the comments say. Most secure phone is no phone. That's not true. That's retarded. Former CIA agent can say you can trust this. You can't trust this. This is why I use smoke signals. And Homage's last secure phone was loaded with a backdoor, and the company was called company by the FBI. That was the Anam phone. That was retarded. Says don't let Google track you. Proceeds to get an audience and monetize on YouTube. That's true, by the way. This phone's $1,000. Fair day bag 20. No phone, free. If it transmits, nothing is safe. That's incorrect, by the way. Sounds like something a CIA would say for a phone they have full access to. It's unhackable. No such thing, by the way. Having a Faraday Go Dark bag for your phone, even your dumb phone, is key. No, it's not. I never want to walk around totally tracked by totally the back of a call. You can just put it in airplane mode. There you go. The old corded home phone is the best. They can still track that, and they can still actually... Well, if you have a corded phone, you have an account. If you have an account, you have to give them your information. And they can tap that and listen to you on the wire, so that doesn't matter. I need this phone. I own a laundry business, and the last thing I need is Mr. Gillian's balls size to hack for me. Ha ha ha. I lived long enough to remember the only blah blah blah. Boomer, 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 boomer. Cyber something Israel, something blah blah blah. The home address is public too. Yeah, for sure. You having a home phone. I'm just saying these. From why I kept my credit frozen for 20 years. What? You don't need. Why do people say that like Apple wants this banned? It's so cringe. By the way, yeah, this guy, I forget, this guy develops Pegasus software. That's what I remember. I watched it and the interview was cringe.
This is the iPhone that I've been testing for the past month, and while it may look similar to an
Still
iPhone,
smartphone.
there's one major difference. It claims to have better privacy and security than anything Apple.
Why would the unhackable phone Apple doesn't want you to know about? I appreciate the video. I'm thankful you took the time to put it together. I've been an iPhone user for 10 years, and I know nothing about Androids or really any phone other than iPhone. Oh God. This bald guy sucks too. Bald people suck, dude.
Is capable of. I'm skeptical. I'm sure you are too. So let's take a.
Again, he goes over schedule reboots isn't unique. Emergency system firewall doesn't mean anything. General impressions. Wow, Liberty OS. What a gay name, by the way. Guys, it's not iPhone.
Just for personal identification. We've really just got texting, Signal, Waze for maps, stuff like that, but that's about it. It's been reliable, super easy for even my young kids to use, and I love that it's not collecting a ton of data on them.
You can solve this by limiting features on your phone. Don't install Snapchat, you fucking dunce. And if you install Snapchat, they still 100% can collect your data about you. It's not fucking magic. Hey, moron big balls 69 fucking installed from this geolocated IP address at this time. Your phone can't stop that. You have to connect to the internet. It's not that crazy of an idea. Is it collected? Is GrapheneOS's sandboxing better than non-standard sandboxing? Yeah. Because it sandboxes your OS, it sandboxes you from the operating system, and improves upon maybe a privacy aspect. But it's still enough to track you. Go install GrapheneOS, install Instagram, search for something, and still see if you get fucking ads for that thing. You will. Go test it. Tracking is complicated. Until we become a uniformic society where people look the fucking same and make the same browsing habits, you are trackable. Quit being fed into this bullshit and being fed into thinking that you are this ununique person that isn't trackable. That's simple. This phone will not save you. Spending $1,000 on it will not save you, and it's gay. I can't even watch this. This guy's just By the way, this bald fucking loser is just a sponsored channel. That's all they do. If you watch through any of their fucking content, they don't do. They literally. And this isn't hate. This isn't YouTube hate. This is just the problem with the system. Man indicted for privacy phone feature. He's indicted, not charged. I used only private aliases. Here's what happened. Don't care. Don't use ChatGPT without the security setting. Don't use ChatGPT at all. $11 privacy products I no longer use that I had sponsorships for and I gave to people. If you use Edge, why would you do that? Should be illegal now. We know this. iPhone security tips nobody talks about. Private AI. We keep trying to get tech to fix stupid decisions. Yeah. When in reality, like the real solution to a lot of fingerprinting is everyone looks the same. This is why Tor works. Tor is like, don't modify the browser. don't do these things, and you will be private. Them removing the user agent thing was kind of dumb because it makes everyone now not look like they're using the same operating system, and it is a fingerprintable measure. This is why when you have a browser that everyone looks the same, you can't distinguish with them besides some key problems, like you using the keyboard and typing at a certain speed and using a certain type of grammar, etc., etc. Yeah, Signal's great. You should use Signal. Why wouldn't you? Like, you know what I mean? Why would you want to use Google's RCS or Apple's messaging service that's tied to an ecosystem? But I digress. So, GrapheneOS has a list of supported devices. The list of supported devices are important. Devices are carefully chosen based on their merits rather than the project aiming to have a broad device support. This is something that may bother people, in my opinion, because they want a broad device to support. They don't want to support, quote unquote, Google, or they want a budget option. Well, budget options don't always meet security standards. And obviously, it's just like your $20 fucking Temu washer isn't going to be the same as a $1,000 Samsung washer that's made and engineered by a reputable company or Whirlpool or etc. Whatever, the point is, that's the point. Sometimes money does equal a better product. I know that might hurt some people's feelings in the comments, and it might hurt some people that are like, that shouldn't be like that. But sucks to suck. The world we live in a society where we thrive on some form of capitalism, but whatever, I digress. It's not the point. Broad device support is a counter to aim the project, and the project will eventually be engaging in hardware and firmware level improvements rather than only offering suggested and bug reports upstream for those who are. Much of the work on the project involves changes that are specific to different devices, and officially supported devices are the ones targeted by the most ongoing work. Remember, the more devices you add, the more work you add in general. You cannot have the same level of patching and security when you have 16 different devices. They have 16 different chipsets and have 16 different instructions. Hardware and firmware and software specific to devices like drivers play a huge role in the overall security of a device. The goal of the project is not to slightly improve some aspects of insecure devices, and supporting a broad set of devices would be directly counter to the values of the project. A lot of low-level work also ends up being fairly tied to the hardware. Remember, broad security on slightly better secure on broad devices is not better than a secure device that can be broadly adopted to all the users. It's a simple math-to-math comparison. I spend more time on securing the hardware that's already secure and the software that's already secure versus changing and adapting to multiple vendors and multiple security vendors and multiple different chipsets and multiple, you know what I mean? I digress, but I get, that's the point. So, GrapheneOS sets a standard, not exhaustive list, obviously a more complicated list, but this is it. It's a non-exhaustive list that's requirements for future devices which the standards meet or exceed by current pixels. Meet these current standards, GrapheneOS will work on you. Don't, then you are wasting your time. And that's the point. You don't want to meet their standards, you don't care about security. You don't care about security? That's fine. Whatever, not our problem. That's it. That's the perspective that you need to have. Support for using alternative operating systems, including full hardware security functionality, aka the Pixel. Complete monthly security bulletin patches without any regular delays longer than a week for device support. Meaning you are applying the patches and the full bulletin patches without any regular delays. Simple. Something that you should be doing because you care about your users. At least 5 years of updates from launch for device support code with phones. Pixel 7 now have 7, and 7 years with tablets. 7 years should be the standards. Besides, they are great. Pixels are great devices when it comes to a security feature. All these people that are super butthurt about pixel resolution and fucking battery are gay, and I hate them, and they're materialistic pigs that sit there and only care about minute details versus actually having a functionally secure phone. But I digress. We are people that like to goon to consumerism. Device support code for update to new monthly and quarterly and yearly releases of the Android open source project with several months to provide new security improvements. Pickles received these in a month and they're released. That is the standard. I get updates all the time and I'm part of the security review preview release. Linux 6.1, 6.12, generic key image. Hardware acceleration with virtualization usable by GrapheneOS, ideally PKVM to match pixels, but another usable implementation be accessible. Hardware memory tagging, ARM, MTE, or equivalent. Apparently, hardware memory tagging has helped GrapheneOS bug diagnose and squash tons and tons of security vulnerabilities. Just saying. Hardware-based coarse-grained control flow integrity, CFI, for baseline coverage where type-based CFI isn't used but can't be deployed. This is used on some Linux distributions. It's supposed to help with the control flow integrity for baseline coverage, something to do with like software and control flow integrity. I talked about it in a live stream. I can't remember it because I'm retarded. But it's something that's super important and one of the few things that isn't shipped in every single Linux distro by default, which is a problem. PXN, SMPE or equivalent, PAN, SMAP or equivalent. Isolated radios. By the way, everyone who's like, Pixels, the baseband is compromised, it's isolated, you fucking retard. That's the point. When you isolate all the components, it doesn't matter if it's compromised. That's the point of isolation. The baseband's isolated, the radios are isolated. It's literally right here. Isolated radios, GPU, SSID, media encoded and decoded image processor, and other components. Support AB updates for both firmware and OS images with automatic rollback if the initial boot fails once or more time. Also having rollback protection, meaning they can't, or to prevent against a downgrade attack, they can't take your OS and downgrade it. Verified boot with rollback protection for the OS, Android verified boot. The one thing that everyone likes to point out but don't realize that there's a list of things that need to be, that's part of like actually porting GrapheneOS over. Verified boot key fingerprint or yellow boot state displayed with a secure hash. Verified boot with rollback protection firmware. Strongbox key store provided by Secure Element. Hardware key attestation support for Strongbox key store. Attest key support for hardware key attestation to provide pinning support. Weaver disk encryption key derivative throttle providing to Secure Element. I believe that's for the throttle is like every time you enter the wrong pin, it adds time and time and time and time until it's like an infinite amount or something, which is what you want. Insider attack resistance for updates to the Secure Element. Owner user authentication required before updates are accepted. Inline disk encryption acceleration with wrapped key support. 64-bit only device encode. I know some people like 32-bit encryption, but 32-bit applications, but some are probably insecure and it's not ideal. Wi-Fi anonymity support, including MAC address randomization, which is based as fuck. So every time you connect to Wi-Fi, this does MAC randomization, which also reduces your fingerprintability because the network operator wouldn't be able to correlate through MAC addressing, which you would think is less common, but it's still very common today. Probe sequence number randomization and no other leaked identifier. Support for disabling USB data and also USB as a whole at the hardware level, which can be done, by the way, and the USB controller reset attack mitigation for firmware-based boot modules such as fast boot, mode zeroing memory left over from the OS, and delaying opening up attack surface such as USB functionality until it's complete. Debugging features such as JTAG and serial debugging. And again, not an exhaustive list. I think people need to get over the Google part and look at much further beyond the surface because we're not fucking internet cocks, and be like, hey, the GrapheneOS developers picked this for a reason and we're going to adhere to it until they can find a better solution out there. I think of all people that would know if this is and or is a good option, But at the end of the day, you have to trust GrapheneOS and you have to trust the hardware at the surface level, as you should. But what you should also trust is my balls. Going deep into space, I have to actually go fight Darth Vader. If I don't, I will have 10,000 years of bad luck, which is not ideal because I want to continue to have 10,000 years of good luck. Remember to comment below your favorite operating system. If it isn't Linux or GrapheneOS, I will ban you into 10,000 years. Super awesome. I appreciate everyone stopping by the stream. I hope you learned something, and I hope you take into account that